light here. Let's see. All right, let's get the chat going. Again, this is just June 4th, 2022, and I've got my iPhone set up here. Let me flip the camera around and get the moon going. There we go. All right, YouTube. Adjust that brightness. Looks like fairly moderately stable air. I would say leaning towards more unstable here. Let's see. All right. We have people commenting. Hey, Masked Bishop. Except it says I have it says I had no viewers and people are already commenting. All right. Awesome. Let me see if I can figure out how to turn this chat on. Live chat. There we go. All right. Chat is up. And all right. Let me see if I can get some telescope control here. Grab a control pad using a AVX mount. Slew speed is set to 5. Just doing some tests. This is a mirror reversed view. So if you go outside and look at the actual moon, it will be pointed the other way. And that's just because this is a Schmidt-Cassegrain telescope with the diagonal, and so that reverses the image. All right, let me adjust. Phone like to fight each other. I feel like last time I did this, I was using a Dobsonian. Okay. All right, we got some high-level clouds. Yeah, so I'm using a Celestron AVX mount, and this is an old, probably 20-year-old C8. So I had a video on called "Should You Buy a Used C8" on the channel here, and Dave Lane is on. Dave, it is totally clear. Is your I assume Dave Lane is checking sky conditions for his robotic telescopes. It's clear whether Facebook and my iPhone want to get along focus-wise. Facebook, iPhone, and telescope all fight over who controls the focus here. So yeah, I was going to try to do some Q&A because, one, it wakes me up. This is I have 3 kids. It's tiring, and the thing that makes me feel alive or awake most of all after a long day of my kids is hanging out with the telescope. Yeah, and I'll go over some of these features in a minute here, but it's just kind of cool to get some Q&A as comments come up. Yeah, so Dave is probably wondering, if it's not cloudy in Halifax, is the BGO running? Well, I don't think it's quite dark enough for the BGO to, it needs to wait like about 40 minutes, right, Dave? Anyway. Astronomical night here is not until midnight, I believe. Although I think the BGO probably turns on earlier than that. What's really cool about tonight, and it was better visually, is the Serpentine Ridge here. Okay. As I go to look at it, comments pop up in front of what I'm trying to look at, but that's okay. SMA Sky is about to set up here. Let me bring up top chat, live chat. Okay. Someone's asking, CMOS or phone camera? This is literally the iPhone and just a cheapo eyepiece. Yeah. So, and it's an 8-inch telescope. So Schmidt-Cassegrain. The Arrow and BGO will start up at 9:54. Yeah. So Dave Lane, who's chatting there, has developed awesome software for several telescopes that allows them to be controlled via social media. And so you can tweet to the telescopes and they will take your image and then tweet the image back to you. And so we've got the Burke Gaffney Observatory, the Abbey Ridge observatory, and then mini BGO. I forget what it's called. So we got down here. All right, yeah. So there's the Altai Scarp there. And I don't know if scarp is short for the word escarpment. I don't know. I forget. And if I center it on, I'm just looking at some of my favorites. That one that looks like a footprint, that's Gutenberg, after the guy that popularized the printing press. This is Sea of Tranquility. And you can center it exactly on the Apollo 11 site. Let's see if I can do it here. Not that you can see the lunar rover. You can't, but it's kind of fun to point it at the spot right there. It's interesting because even if you're 100 miles or 100 kilometers away, you know, you only get about 30-meter resolution with, you know, a big old camera. Or sorry, not 30 centimeter resolution, I believe, on the Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter's camera, which I think the highest def camera that's photographing the moon right now. Man, I feel like the algorithms are really fighting me. Oh yeah, hey Rob and Lisa. Or the other thing that's fighting with me is the moon is setting right over the house, so you have the heat of the day shining on the asphalt roof, and it makes the image all that more wavy. All right, so the comments are disappearing. I love reading these comments. Ephraim is saying, I have an 8-inch Dob, and a couple nights ago I had to look at M13. It was really dim compared to last year. Couldn't resolve any stars in the cluster. Could it be a dirty mirror? Probably not a dirty mirror. I would say it's probably just the amount of light pollution that day. So this is, we're getting really close to June 22nd, when the days are the longest and the nights are the shortest. So sometimes it might feel like it's night, but the sun isn't actually that far below the horizon, and it makes it harder to see deep sky objects. So that could be it. So it's like usually I can see galaxies from my backyard here. But, you know, when you get near, yeah, I'm just reading Dave's comment there. When you get near June 21st, it gets really hard just because, like, even here at 44 degrees north latitude, we only get like 3 hours of actual night where the sky is as black it's going to be. And then you have light pollution to deal with, and then the moon as well. So, yeah, I was hoping this was light enough. I'm losing batteries here on my phone. So I have a new book coming out, and it's sort of top secret and sort of not. Let me see how much I can see of my own face here. Oh, that's dark. I got my light, but that is not illuminating anything. All right, I'll go back to the moon. I usually use my phone as a flashlight, and then if I'm using it for YouTube, I don't have that. All right. Oh, hey, Anthony. Let me read through the conversation here. I only tend to get one message at a time, and then it shows up and it disappears pretty quick. So if I don't respond to you, that's what's going on. All right. Okay. Mess around with focus. Second, and I'm going to go see if I can get a light. adjust the camera here. And slew back. Get the moon centered. And then I'm going to switch the camera around and see if you guys can see me. And then I want to show you some books. All right. All right, let's see if that's bright enough to see my face. Sort of. Howdy, everyone. Can you see these books? All right. Yeah, so usually when I do these moon presentations, I'm usually just naming craters that I learned from writing 50 Things to See on the Moon. And I did this largely with Dave Chapman. And so he is really the moon expert. And I also did the Explore the Moon with the RASC when I co-hosted the Moon at Noon program with Jenna Hines and Samantha. And so I worked through the whole program there and got really acquainted with, 100 of the brightest craters. And most of those craters are in 50 Things to See on the Moon. So when I'm doing these presentations, I don't tend to have more than about 30 craters memorized. And so I'll just go to this book and usually figure out whatever day it is. So we're at about day 4 in the lunar cycle, day 4, day 5. And so we'd be looking at the craters. You basically just match the moon. So the moon looks a bit like this tonight. And so you would look in the pages of the book where the moon looks like this. And those are the most interesting targets. And so that's where I'm going from, get my information for these. I usually don't carry around my big moon map anymore. Most of the good targets for at least doing these sorts of presentations are all within the book. And I have some good, if I'm doing lunar seas, especially if I'm dealing with telescopes that are mirror reversed and stuff, it's good to have one of these reversed maps on hand. So like this would be this map I would use tonight. So we're seeing these lunar seas here along just this side of the moon. Yeah. And then because Father's Day is coming up, I'm going to try and be pushing this book pretty hard. Actually, I don't know what I'm going to do marketing-wise in the next few weeks. Maybe do a video or so. But the advantage of this is just, it's got all the Messier items, and then it gives you a place to record your observations so you can earn certificates. And then it's a 1 target per page system. So just really easy. A map that only has the relevant information to finding that 1 target. And then the new book, and there's only one of these in existence. This is the new book for the summer, Learn to Stargaze, based on the channel here. And this is a pre-release edition. It is up on Amazon, but that's a pre-release edition too. I haven't marketed it, so if you want to find it, you'd have to like literally type it in. And so it's been edited like 5 times already, but the publisher is still going to do another round, and so that's why we haven't started advertising it. But if anyone wants to get it and write reviews, hopefully good ones, it is there. What's really neat about this book is we had an amazing artist go through and redraw all the constellations. And so, which was really, really neat as a process. Just getting them in like superb color there. And the other thing we did is we looked at all the other cultures that had interesting constellation shapes for the same star patterns. And so we called those out as well. And someone's lighting fireworks off in the background here. Yeah. And so for like the Big Dipper or the Plow, for example, Ursa Major, thanks, Dave. You have all the different cultures. It represents Buddhas, reindeer, macaw. It really, all sorts of things. Yeah, so really excited to have this book done since I started grad school this week. So it was good to get this out of the way before I really got too much into that. Yeah, let me show you some other features of this book that no other. These fireworks are great. Great thing about living in a college town. All right. Yeah, so this book too, it included lots of lunar activities. So, and again, it gives you a place to track your progress. So for every moon, you just check it off. And then we have activities too. Like this is where you go out with a ball on a stick at sunset and you spin in a circle. And you can go through all the phases on, just on your ball on a stick. And then, we have sort of the binocular targets and visual targets. Some people can see a lot of the lunar seas just with their eyes. Binoculars help. And then these are mostly targets from Rask's Explore the Moon Binoculars edition. So we made sure to catch all those. And Dave Chapman was one of the editors on this. Yes, Amazon will deliver these to you quite quick. But yeah, so there again, these are still pre-release. So we're looking for people to get reviews before we really start marketing it widely. Okay, what are some other cool features of this? Yeah, so the difference between this book and all the other books is that this one is no telescopes required. And so we have telescopes optional just because we included a lot of deep sky objects, but they're the deep sky objects that you can see if you're in sort of Bortle 1 or Bortle 2 skies. So you can see M13 without a telescope. You can see the Lagoon Nebula without a telescope. And of course, the Pleiades and Hyades, you can see all those without a telescope. You just got to know where to look. Andromeda Galaxy too. And then we just put a symbol to let you know that if you're in like Bortle 4 skies, which is like just outside the suburbs, that you can see them with, it would help to have binoculars to be able to see like the Orion Nebula or the Andromeda Galaxy. Harder to see with just your eyes. But definitely within the realm of binoculars. So, for example, there's, you could see M15. Yeah, M15 with binoculars. So like there it is with, near Pegasus there. Yeah. So again, the artist really did a great job. I know it's kind of dark here, hard to see. There's Scorpius, and then you have what Scorpius is in different cultures. It's a hawk of some sort. And, red-rumped parrot, and I believe that's Australia, which is the Burong Aborigines. Aboriginal tribe uses they have a whole set of constellations, which are really cool. And then South Pacific and like Hawaiian star lore uses the fishhook. Yeah, so definitely exciting. Hopefully we'll get this with Formac Publishing in hardcover, and then it'll be in every bookstore everywhere. Yeah. Anyway, let's go back to the moon for a second. Oh, not bad. So, of course, I set the telescope up effectively in the day and just pointed it sort of north. So that's why your tracking's not super bang on. Sorry, I probably missed about 100 comments there. Let me just scroll the telescope back. One of these days, I'm going to set up that broadcast OBS software. I still haven't taught myself that yet. And then I'll be able to sort of do a sort of studio quality moon view. Can you guys hear those fireworks? They're loud. The dog is freaking out. And last night, though, in our neighborhood, I think someone was just going and trying every car door, as they do, looking for change or whatever. But there was a car alarm going off about every 15 minutes all night in our neighborhood. And it seemed like different alarms. So I don't know if someone was breaking windows or what, but that definitely kept everyone up, including the baby. So I was pretty drowsy today. Focus Wars. This is one of my favorite parts of the moon right here. This is called the Marsh of Sleep. I don't know, it's just a really cool color. The iPhone really doesn't do this justice. You really got to get out there and look at it. especially like a telescope like this will really, you can really dive in there deep and get clear images. An 8-inch scope is plenty of resolution for this. I'm just having no luck here with the focus. In Mare Crisium there, that's Pearson Picard. Makes it look like a flounder fish or a stingray or something. Those two small dark craters inside the lunar sea there. Yeah, last time I did this, I was using a Newtonian, so now I'm all turned around. And then still have the, I don't see it. So that's supposedly the lunar. So someone's saying they don't know about the iPhone, but it does have a pro mode, but this is just within the YouTube app, so you don't have any camera control whatsoever. Besides, there's like special effects where I can do like add bubbles. I can do dance party. Could do dance party on the moon, but it doesn't give you, to my knowledge, much more control. Yeah, and there's some other options here. I feel like they've upgraded this. Enable flash, mute microphone. Yeah, ooh, sketch. That's cool. Okay. I'm gonna have to let the dog in here in a second. Okay, now that won't even let that menu go away. Go away, menu. Okay. Trying to remember what that crater is called. Right there. What is that one? Oh, wow, Lisa and Rob. Thanks for ordering the book. Arriving Monday. That's fast. Yeah, this is a mirror reversed view. So this up here, this is the North Pole. Here. And then if I want to go up on this controller, I have to press down. And then the South Pole is down here. And now the other dogs in the neighborhood are barking at my dog. You can sort of make out the gang of four there. About an inch away from the limb. Yeah, kind of washed out. New channel, learning to stream. Yep, I definitely need that. Oh, yeah, Dave is, let me bring up, oh, keep losing these comments. Yeah, Dave's about 20 kilometers from me, and I can definitely, we are about to lose the clouds here, or lose the sky because of clouds. All right, I'm gonna let the dog in, and then I'll come back. I'll probably wrap it up. Okay, I'm back. Let's see here. Now we got some sirens. It's an exciting town we live in. Not even a Wanderers game on tonight. Yeah, so this is always something I forget. So you need to as you're slewing, you see how it's drifting here? You need to end your slew on an up and a right slew, and that stops it from drifting. Oh, someone just asked, how often does the space station fly in front of the moon? It happens all the time. It just happens on different places around the Earth. So there's a website that you can go to, and you put in your GPS coordinates, and it will tell you the ISS transits of the moon and sun within about a week or so of whatever time it is. Yeah, ISS Transit Finder. It's a pretty cool app. I've never done it or attempted it. Probably be a fun thing to do. Most of the stuff I do from an outreach standpoint is visual astronomy, and that's usually a photographic thing. I do a fair bit of astrophotography these days, and a lot of that is just so that it gives me content for the YouTube channel, it gives me content for the books, and at the same time, I can answer a lot of questions about astrophotography. But most of the content that I produce, the idea anyway, is that it's visual astronomy only. And so, although I do give a lot of advice of people trying to use cameras with their telescopes, because it's a lot of fun, but it can also be really frustrating and take away from the hobby, which fundamentally is visual astronomy. And then a lot of people buy telescopes that are definitely not designed for a camera, like telescopes on flimsy mounts, and then they get mad at me when they can't take good photos. And so I got to deal with that. I've actually had to block some people on YouTube for just being too nasty. Someone needs to tell Hollywood that ballistic missiles don't fire the missile all the time. That's what Dave says on his comment. I'm not sure I understand the context there. It's been a while since there have been missiles fired into space. Hopefully we don't see that anytime soon. It's definitely worrying that a little bit of history. When the first television satellite went up, it was called Telstar 1. And they launched it a day after the Starfish Prime nuclear test, which was a 400-kilometer high altitude test, and it was near Hawaii. So the U.S. military detonated, I think it was a 1 point something megaton nuclear weapon, 400 miles in altitude. And what happened is the high energy particles that were a result of the explosion got caught in Earth's magnetic field, and it took out most of the satellites that were in orbit at the time, which wasn't a lot because it was 1962, but one of them was that first television satellite. And although they got a lot of science from it, because part of the satellite, the television satellite, included science related to measuring radiation levels in Earth's magnetic field and the radiation belts. And so they got data on it, and they got data on the nuclear explosion that ultimately took out the spacecraft. So kind of a cool bit of history. With Telstar 1, cool space facts. That's another book. We wrote that Space Missions That Changed the World book. And we didn't market it very well because of the pandemic, and almost nobody bought it. But it's really, I think it's one of my underrated books, because it's all sorts of fun facts about space. And that one is a Formac Publishing contracted me to write that one. It was a lot of fun. I guess not as fun as Animals in Space. Animals in Space was a great book. Lots of fun. Got to email all sorts of astronauts, and they were super excited to talk to me about. And my wife. My wife is lead author on it, and so she had a lot of fun. All right. It's always amazing how you can see the moon. Like, it's quite cloudy where the moon is, all around it, but it's sort of, the light is just streaming through. If I go all the way out, you probably start seeing the clouds. Especially if we go over here. Maybe not. yeah, the sky is still not completely black here. You know, but we are an hour ahead of Eastern, so yeah. I've been streaming for 30 minutes, and when I started, it was fairly blue skies. Anyway, it's been fun. I'm going to sign off. Hey, you can see some earth shine there. That's cool. I guess before I sign off, that's a fun project. I was driving in the car with Cyan Proctor down to the Analog Astronaut Conference, and oh, bye, Dave. And I was thinking of Earthshine, and she was mentioning that when you're in the spacecraft, and you don't point the window at the sun, because it would get really hot inside your spaceship. So your window is always sort of on the nighttime side of the spaceship. And so the inside of your spaceship is illuminated by just reflected Earth light. And Cyan has this theory that a lot of the overview effect that you feel in space, that euphoria that some astronauts feel when they look down at the Earth or being in space, is due to this this Earth light, Earth shine effect that you get by just being immersed. You're effectively in nighttime from your spaceship's perspective, but just being immersed in sunlight, or sorry, in reflected Earth light. And there's something magical about that. So anyway, I'll leave you guys to marinate on that. All right, signing off. Good night, everyone.